Welcoming folks who are joining us this morning. If you can, please make sure you are muted and you stay muted throughout the session. We are asking folks to please find the chat box. For me, it's to my right on the screen, so it might be to your left. But just asking folks to please find the chat box and just let us know who's in the room with us today. I would love to know your name, what site are you coming from, and what are you having for lunch today, since this is a lunch and learn. As a disclaimer, this is a recorded session. We're going to be sharing this session and making sure it's available to folks who weren't able to make it to this 11:45 lunch and learn. So just so you know, this meeting is being recorded and it will be shared later. Hello, everyone in the chat. I see we have some pasta for lunch, some ramen noodles. I miss going out to eat ramen. A peach salad, that sounds good. And hummus and tomato. For folks who are just joining us, just asking you to please access that chat box and let us know who you are, what site you're coming from, and what you're having for lunch today. It is 11:46. I'm going to give folks another 2 minutes to log into the session just so we know we have everyone here. So we will begin at just about 11:48. If you're here with us, please make sure to get into that chat box and introduce yourself. We would love to know who's in the room and sharing this virtual space.
And some of it I did while he was there. I told him, go ahead and play the game.
We would love to know your name, what site you're coming from, and what you're having for lunch. As a reminder, please stay muted during this session just to keep things going. We are recording this meeting, this lunch and learn session, for folks who won't be able to make it with us in real time. So just so you know, this is being recorded and it will be shared to the network. And I just want to see what folks are having. A ham sandwich with olives. Drinking a smoothie with some sliced apples on the side. Having some fresh fruit. I like all of these options today. More fruit. Welcome to everyone who's just joining us. Please mute yourself as you join. If you, whoops, where'd I go? There we go. As we're getting started, just want to remind folks, please utilize that chat box. Let us know who you are, what site you're coming from, and what you're having for lunch today. We'd love to know. I'm getting a lot of meal inspirations, a lot of fruit, having some water, a salad and water. Someone's drinking some tea, so that's great. Stay hydrated. My name is Monica Ongpa, and I'm a program liaison for OCF OST, and I'm very happy to have you here with me today. Joining me is another program liaison. I'll let her introduce herself. Madeline.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Madeline Henderson, program liaison OST, OCF for our high school model, and I will be joining you today.
Wonderful. Thank you, Madeline. So yes, as you're entering in, just one last reminder, please introduce yourself. Let us know your name, what program site you're coming from, and what you're having for lunch. Additionally, this session is being recorded to be shared later for folks who aren't able to join us in real time. So just so you know, this is being recorded. Some engagement and expectations. We're gonna really appreciate if folks stay muted at all times throughout this session. It's incredibly helpful for us to make sure it goes smoothly. Enter any questions or resources you might have in the chat box. And it's super easy if you can just start it with question, colon, and enter your question, just so it's easier for Madeline and myself to be able to find those questions in the chat box. We're going to ask that you stay engaged the entire session. So I know it can be very, very easy to say, I'm just going to check my email for a quick second, or let me check my cell phone or anything like that. We're going to ask that if you can, please try to stay engaged. I won't need you to really type anything unless you have a question or resource that you want to share with folks. So just asking you to please focus on what we're doing for the next 45 minutes. And lastly, some expectations today is that you take some resources with you. We'll be sharing some links in the chat box and going through a couple of self-care tips, and we would love for you to take some resources with you. So if you can, I encourage you to have a pen and paper handy, just so if you have any aha moments and you're like, oh, that's something I would love to take back with me to my program, or something that I want to use in my personal life, then please write those things down so that you don't forget those aha moments and those things that you want to remember later. I just want to say hi to everyone in the chat. I see you there. Welcome to this space. Very excited to share this virtual space with you and to hear what everyone's having for lunch. I'm going to ask folks, so we're going to have a meditation minute, and I'm actually going to time this for a minute. I want to lead us in a short meditation, again, just 1 minute of meditation. And to begin and to set us up for success, I'm just going to ask that if you have anything in your hands, if you're typing on the keyboard, let it go and just place your palms onto your lap if you can, and plant your feet into on the floor into the ground. I like to spread my toes out and try to put them down one by one, just to make sure I'm rooted there. I'm going to ask that you also sit in your seat. So if you have a chair back or a seat with a back on it, just make sure your back is totally rested to the back of that. And we're going to ask that you sit up straight, and that you close your eyes. And once you close your eyes, I'm going to close my eyes and start the minute. And we're going to sit here with our eyes closed, palms on our lap, feet planted into the ground. And if you can with me, take 3 deep breaths. We're going to inhale together, 1, and exhale. Inhale, filling your belly, and exhale. 1 last breath together, inhale, and exhale. And please continue breathing. I'm going to ask that you try to sit up as straight as you can, stacking your vertebrae on top of each other. Continue breathing. And as we continue our session today, I'm going to ask that you make note of your breath and that you take some time to just remind yourself to breathe. And as you're breathing, just take note of where you're breathing. Are you tight within your chest? Are you breathing deep in your tummy? That minute meditation was to get us started for today. We are going to be doing some light stretching. So we're going to be stretching and sitting, and we're going to be taking a moment just to do that together today. So just some things to prep us for our stretching. Remain seated throughout the stretches. These stretches can be modified for standing or laying down. But for today, we're just going to stay seated right in front of our devices, so in front of your laptop or computer or cell phone, if that's what you're doing. Please do not push yourself too far as we're doing these stretches. This is really about caring for your body. So we want to make sure that you're not pushing yourself to the extreme. We're just going to do it so we get a nice stretch. And then utilize the series multiple times a day. I find that when I do these stretches, they last about 5 minutes, and it's great for doing it multiple times a day, just to remind yourself to be in your body and to be able to remind yourself that your body does need to move. And as a reminder, please mute yourself in the session. So to start our stretches, we're just going to start with our hands. A lot of us are doing a lot of virtual work on our computers, and that means maybe some start of carpal tunnel and a lot of typing at our keyboard. So I'm just going to ask you if you are able to raise your hands, and we're just going to turn our wrists. And we're just getting our wrists warmed up. So we're just turning our wrists in towards you and out towards the screen, and just doing that. And then maybe go the opposite way. And after you're done turning your wrists, so we're going to do this. We're going to have our palms facing away from us. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use our right hand to just bend our fingers of our left hand back towards our forearm, just giving it a good stretch. What you're going to feel is that you're going to stretch through your wrists, up your palm, and into your fingertips. Just giving ourselves a good stretch there, going in the direction our hands usually don't go. A nice stretch, don't force it too much, just as long as you feel that stretch. And we're going to sit here for a count of 5. So I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Beautiful. And you're just going to let that go. We're going to do the same thing for the right hand. So using your left hand, you're just going to pull the fingers of your right hand back towards your forearm, giving it a good stretch. Again, you want to feel stretch from your wrist through your palm and in through your fingertips. Giving it a good stretch. Count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Wonderful. You can let that go. Next, what we're going to do is some more stretches in our fingertips. So if you're able to, please lace your fingers together so that your palms are facing you, and bring that to your heart. And you're just going to lay your palm there on your heart. We're going to stay here for a count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And next, what I'm going to ask you to do is to turn your palms inside out away from you and extend your elbows. Push your arms away from you. You'll feel a good stretch in your fingers here again through your wrists. And we're going to stay here for a count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Beautiful. And we're going to bring our palms back into our heart. Place it back on your heart. Count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good. And then out away from you. Push your palms away from you. Count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Beautiful. We're going to do that one more time. I'm going to ask that when you bring your palms to your heart, inhale. So we're going to take an inhale. Breathe. Take note of your breath. We're going to count 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Beautiful. And when we push our palms away from us, give a deep exhale. Count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. And you can let go of your fingers, give them a little wiggle. Thank you, fingers, for all of the work you do. Always thank your body for just doing what it does, even when we don't want it to, or we don't even know we need it to. So thank you, hands. Thank you, fingers. I'm going to ask that you put your palms back on your lap. What we're going to do next is we're just going to do some stretches that involve turning our spine. When we do this, just want to make sure that you keep your shoulders straight, and that as we turn our spine, we're not moving our shoulders up or down. So just imagine that you're balancing something on your shoulders and you're not trying to spill them. You can move your hands as you need. I'm going to grip my seat. So I'm going to turn, asking everyone to just turn their shoulders, keeping your shoulders straight. And then we're going to turn to the right as if we're looking to the right, keeping our shoulders straight. And I'm going to hold on to my chair to give myself a deeper stretch. Again, don't push yourself too much. We just want to get a nice stretch. You're going to feel this stretch along your side, through your spine. And you may even turn your head to make sure that your spine is aligned. And we're going to stay here. We're going to count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wonderful. And come back to center, keeping those shoulders straight. We're going to go to the left side now. So I'm turning. Notice that my shoulders are staying straight. Turning my head just so that it's aligned with the rest of my spine. Holding onto my chair just to give myself a deeper stretch. We're going to count to 10. Remember to breathe while we do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. We're going to do that one more time for both sides. So to the right again, just turning. Grab your seat if you need to give yourself a bit more of a stretch if you want. Counting to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Beautiful. And one last time towards the left. Remember to keep your shoulders straight and be mindful of your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great. And we're going to bring it back to center. You can sit up straight if you'd like. You can go back to what's comfortable for you. After I do stretches like that, I feel like I'm sitting up straight a little bit more. And then next, what we're going to do, our last thing, is we're going to put our right hand onto our left shoulder, left hand onto our right shoulder, give a good squeeze, and maybe even rock side to side. We're going to give ourselves a hug. As I mentioned, our bodies do a lot for us that sometimes we don't even realize it's doing. It's keeping us safe. It's keeping us going. It's reminding us when we need to drink water, when to take a break. So we're just going to give our bodies a nice hug. Give ourselves a hug. Take a moment. Maybe close your eyes and take a deep breath in. And exhale out. And just feel the way that your lungs fill with air. And notice your heartbeat. Give yourself that good old squeeze, that hug. Thank you, self, for being who you are, for getting me through the day. Just give yourself that hug. We're going to stay in this hug. Even if it feels a little silly, we're going to stay here for 10 seconds. I'm going to count. And just say thank you to yourself for whatever it may be that you are thankful for today. And I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Beautiful. You can let it go. I'm rubbing my shoulders. Making sure to love on yourself is definitely a part of self-care. And that was our stretches for today. Feel free to use that, any part of that sequence throughout the day. It's helpful for us to remember where our bodies are and maybe what stretches we need. Just some basic definitions to guide us through our conversation for the next part of our session. Self-care is defined as the practice of nurturing oneself to sustain a healthy lifestyle. And then burnout is defined as becoming exhausted or ruining one's health through overwork. So a lot of us may have felt some burnout, especially towards the end of the school year with a lot of changes and things that we need to learn, things we need to do. Burnout's real, especially when you're working with young people. But self-care is also very real and definitely something that we all need to have conversations about, habits and routines, rituals that we need to learn. Remembering to practice that nurturing of yourself, of oneself, in order to sustain a healthy lifestyle, or maybe even to begin a healthy lifestyle, depending on where you are. I have some tips about some summer self-care. And then we'll also hear from Madeline about how she has experienced self-care. So just some things that you can do with your youth online. You can even do these things in person. Meditation minutes. We did 1 minute of meditation at the beginning of this session. And that was really just to get our minds into the session, into the idea of self-care. That's definitely something that's great to do maybe in the afternoon with young people if they are feeling some exhaustion or you're going into an afternoon of different activities. Taking a couple of minutes with your young people, hopping onto a virtual call or anything like that, and taking a couple of minutes to guide them through a meditation can be helpful. Water breaks. You can schedule some online water breaks with your young people where maybe you take 10 minutes, you hop onto a video call with them, and everyone has their water or their drink of choice, and they take a break. It's summertime, so staying hydrated can sometimes be hard because we're busy having fun or we're outside. So just reminding your young people to take water breaks, and not just reminding your young people, but yourself as well. So maybe schedule in some water breaks. Things you can do in person, and again, these are interchangeable. You can do it in person or online with your young people. Affirmation station. Sometimes it's fun if you're able to do in-person programming to have a small station where you might have post-it notes with affirmations already written on the post-it notes. It can be a grab and go station where if a young person's feeling like maybe they have something heavy inside of themselves or they need a little pick-me-up, they know to go to affirmation station. It can be just a little poster on your wall or something on a desk where they know they can go pick up a post-it note or a sticker with an affirmation on it, and they can carry that with them throughout the day. Another thing you can do in in-person programming that might be a little bit harder to do online is an intentions table. An intentions table is a little setup, oftentimes a small table, a little side table or something like that, where you put down items that your young people may bring into the space, items that you bring into the space that everyone knows is sacred and something that they will always find in your space. So sometimes we have to change classrooms without notice, or we're going outside, indoors, and we're switching up spaces. But it's really nice to know that there's always going to be something that we know is going to be at our intentions table. For my intentions table, when I ran OST programs or when I teach dance, I always have disposable cups available for young people to use if they need to go to the water fountain and grab something to drink. I have paper towels in case there's a spill or anything like that. I have a first aid kit with essentials, so feminine products, bandages, things like that. And then I also have my affirmation post-it notes on there. So my affirmation station and my intentions table are all one thing. They can be separate or they can be the same. Things you can do for yourself: stick to a schedule. And when I say stick to a schedule, this is also akin to making boundaries for yourself. If you know that you are doing online summer programming, make sure that you stick to the schedule that you set at the beginning of program and that you know when you're going to sign off and when you sign out. That helps for you to create a threshold for yourself. I know for myself, if I'm working, I put on a work blouse. This is a work blouse. And then when I sign off for the day, when I sign off at 5 o'clock, I'm out of my work blouse. And I know that if I'm wearing a t-shirt, I'm no longer on my work schedule. So stick to a schedule. And the next thing is exercise. It's getting hotter outside, so make sure you stay hydrated when you exercise. Water is key. I'm going to keep saying that throughout the session. But make sure to give yourself some time to do some exercise. It doesn't mean you need to run a marathon or you need to do some heavy weightlifting, but it means that maybe you go for a walk twice a day. I know I like to take my dog out. I'm obsessed with my dog. He just turned 2 yesterday. That's my baby. And his name is Oscar. And what I do is I like to make sure that right around 1 o'clock, we go out for a walk. And then in the evening, right around 6 o'clock before dinner time, I take him out for a walk again. Sometimes it's just a walk around the block, depending on how busy I am. Sometimes it's a walk to my cousin's house, who's a few blocks down, and back. Make sure to exercise, even if it's as simple as taking a walk. That can also be really helpful, and just getting your mind in a different space, resetting, and just finding some time to just be by yourself or with a loved one and just go outside just for a little bit. And before we move there, I would love to invite Madeline to share some of her self-care experiences.
Greetings, everyone. So there are several things that I like to do for self-care. I like to listen to music, of course. And with that, my grandmother, who's 94 years old, recently moved in with me, so I get a chance to dance with her. And that's exercise for both of us together. There's art therapy that I also participate in, where I use tissue paper, glue, and a Sharpie, and I just do like collages and make things for people. Mindfulness activities. I take a break, and I really sometimes have to schedule my time for self care and health and wellness. So sometimes I'll just do a like 15 seconds where I'm just like, I'm going to think about nothing at all for 15 seconds, and that helps as well. Um, there's something else. Oh, yes, cards to color and share. So I recently picked this up. I'm not sure if everyone can see this, but it says creative expressions to calm and inspire. So there's 44 cards. I decorate the cards, and then eventually I give them out to people. So again, I really love to take time out for self-care. It's very important, and you might have to even schedule it in. That's one thing that I will say. In order to maintain self-care, take some time to schedule it in. So thanks, Monica. Turning it back over to you.
Thank you, Madeline. I think scheduling time to self-care is so important, as you said. I know for myself, I'm having a hard time with self-care in terms of balancing all the things that are happening in the world, all the things I have to do at home, all of the things I have to do for extended family, and all of the things I have to do for work. It sort of feels like chaos. And for me, I set a reminder on my phone at 5 o'clock every evening to just like remind myself, hold up, wait a minute, like take a break, even if it's just 15 seconds, like you said, where I just think about nothing, or if it's an hour where I'm painting or things like that. So yes, definitely schedule. Here are some resources for self-care. I will drop the links in just a moment. Oops. So some things to think about: strategies for self-care, meditation, as we discuss, exercise, as we discuss, creative outlets. So things like reading, writing, drawing, music, dance, theater, whatever it might be, if it's improv or something like that. Maybe find a creative outlet that's really fun for you. I see some folks saying line dancing and Zumba are fun. Healthy eating. It's really fun to explore new recipes and things like that. So um, if it's possible for you, have a healthy meal once or twice a day, or start incorporating them if you feel like you need to start eating healthier. Sometimes it's good not to say, I'm just going to go healthy full on, but I'm going to do a healthy meal once a day. The next thing is sleep. Make sure you're getting sleep. Sleep is so important for our bodies to rest, and for our brains to reset. We need to rest our brains. So make sure you get sleep. And the next one is time off. Schedule time for vacation. You earn vacation time for a reason. You earn your PTO hours if you have them. So please make sure that you schedule time off for yourself to just not work on a Tuesday, maybe, or to take a half day on a Friday. if that's possible for you. So utilize that PTO time. Some questions that you can use to check in with yourself, with others, with your young people. Things that I know I need to ask myself. So one of the first ones is, when was the last time you had a deep belly laugh? And when I say deep belly laugh, I mean, maybe you started crying a little bit. And if you have asthma like me, you consider getting your inhaler because you were laughing so hard. When was the last time you laughed like that? Where do you find peace? Physically, where do you go to find peace? Do you have a corner in your home where you might sit and find peace? Or do you have a tree in a park that you like to sit under? Where do you find peace? Who reminds you to give time to your passions? Do you have a friend or family member, someone in your household that reminds you to give time to your passions? What are your passions? And do you have someone to hold you accountable to giving yourself time to those things? How do you cope with stress? Are you, like myself, maybe a stress eater? Or maybe you like to run when you're feeling stress? How do you yourself cope with stress? What is your emergency plan? If you feel like you're burning out and you're about to crash land into yourself and you're really feeling that burnout, what's your emergency plan? Who are the people that you talk to? What are the things that will comfort you? So what foods, what t-shirt, if you have a favorite t-shirt, what's your emergency plan to take care of yourself if you're feeling too much burnout? And lastly, like I've been saying, did you drink any water? Did you have water today? And I'm not saying iced coffee or iced tea or soda or even Gatorade, but I mean water. Just simple H2O. Did you have any water today? I know I'm guilty of just drinking coffee throughout the day. And I'm like, I'm hydrated. I'm not hydrated. I need to drink water. And I have to remind myself of that. If you look in the chat box now, I have links to each of the things that are listed under links on the presentation. So the links include a 5-minute meditation you can do anywhere. So if you want to take that meditation out to your backyard, or if you want to do it in a quiet space, 5-minute meditation you can do anywhere. A step-by-step waterfall landscape painting tutorial. So if you are interested in some creative outlets, there's a tutorial. There are many painting tutorials. That's just one. I personally like to learn from Bob Ross, but there's one. There's a fill your cup yoga, and that's really yoga with a specific intention of reminding you to fill up your own cup, to fill up your heart. There's a self-care worksheet coming out of one of UPenn's initiatives, and that's just for you to assess where are you in your self-care out of a 1 through 5 on different ways to give yourself self-care. And the last link is how to teach your children about self-care. How to teach your children about self-care is a link that's specifically written, it's an article written for parents, but I think can definitely be utilized for folks who are working with young people, especially our elementary folks, because self-care, as important as it is for us, is also important for our young people, especially going through the things that we're going through right now. So just making sure that we know how to talk to our young people about self-care and how can we get them started in learning more about it. We have just about 10 more minutes left to answer any questions, talk about anything. So if you would like to just unmute yourself and talk to us, please raise your hand. There is a raise your hand feature on Teams that you can use if you want to talk. But we would love to know how have you incorporated self-care to your program? How have you shifted your self-care routine during quarantine? Because we know life is very different now. Or if you have any questions, either let us know in the chat or raise your hand and we'll make sure to have you speak with us. And Madeline, please let us know if there were any questions or resources in the chat.
Hi, everybody. This is Naomi. I saw a great one from Natasha Torres, and she said that her coworker reminds her. So I think that's just a great example of using your community to access self-care, and and again, just like leaning on your community, because in times like this, it's extremely important to lean on the people who love you. And I definitely know with my partner, I always tell him, like, you need to get sleep. Go to sleep. Like, go take a nap. Drink water. So it's extremely important to have that community around you. So thank you, Natasha.
And also to follow up, Naomi pushed her unmute button quicker than I could, but I wanted to say that I agree with the accountability partner. Having someone to remind you what to do and to take care of yourself is very, very important. So thanks. Yes, we do have a comment in the chat box from Marina. We do yoga and activities to release stress, like making stress balls with balloons and flour. But just a follow up question: is this an elementary or middle school model that you're working with, Marina? Great. And middle school students, yes, they definitely would appreciate that. So that's great. Thank you.
I love middle school tips because my niece is going into 7th grade, and there are so many hormones and little things that set her off, and I have no idea how to get her to calm down sometimes. So sometimes that middle school age range is definitely the folks who will roll their eyes at you and give you the most attitude, but they're probably going to go back to their bedroom and do a little bit of meditation or take some of your advice when you're not there.
Thank you, Aisha, for sharing your recommendation or resource for the Calm app. If anyone would like to share their experience with the Calm app as it relates to the students, that would be great as well.
Just want to shout out a couple of things I'm seeing in the chat. Um, so just acknowledging that we all need reminders to take care of ourselves, to step away and take moments for ourselves. Regina saying sometimes things do become overwhelming and we think it has to get done ASAP, but it doesn't. The work will be there when we return to it, and that's definitely something that I always have to remind myself. And sometimes it's hard and we feel some guilt and not being able to get things immediately or fast, but understanding that we're all human and we do need to give some time to ourselves. Some folks refilling their water cup, drinking their water. Make sure you're staying hydrated. That's wonderful. Just some things I want to remind folks. What we hear throughout the day can really influence our mood and our productivity. So I don't know if you can hear it in the background. I turned it down really low, but it was a little bit louder in the beginning. I have some meditation music on right now, just for me to set the tone for myself coming into our session today. So sometimes that's really helpful, even if it's really low while you're working with your young people. That can really help to set the mood. And I really love using music that doesn't have any words or anything in it. So I'm thinking about like instrumentals and things like that. So if I'm looking for something a little bit more hype, I might look up some instrumentals that have more of an upbeat sound. And if I'm doing something that's a little bit more relaxing after lunchtime or during lunchtime, it might be that meditation music. There's some love for Mozart out there. I played cello for like 8 years, and my favorite favorite composer might be Tchaikovsky. Putting on my nerd hat for a second.
Classical music, Lanica, is great. Beethoven, jazz music is great too. I agree with you with the just having the instrumental play. Great idea.
I see some folks are just starting to take vitamins and B12 liquid to help. That's so important to make sure we're getting our daily vitamins and our nutrients into our bodies. Some other musicians in the room, I love it. Eileen coming in saying they chose to a 10-minute guided meditation for beginners to clear thoughts on YouTube with a parent as part of the parent downtime talk. Yeah, and saying I realize I don't see self-care or meditation for African American males. It's wonderful. Even engaging parents in this, especially if you're working with our elementary school students, and building that relationship with them is so important.
Lanica, we have a question from Elaine. And also, I just wanted to lift up Heather's comment first. In human services, we need to remember that our work cannot be 24/7. We can't pour from an empty cup. It must make, I'm sorry, I have to open this up again. It must make time for ourselves and not be made to feel like we are letting our company or our members down by doing so. Yes, that's great. Thank you. Round of applause. And now Elaine's question. Why was Mozart? Oh, listen, this is a joke. I'm ready. Why was Mozart mad at his chickens? Let's go. Why, Elaine? Why? Wacky Wednesday. I love it. My team knows that I love corny jokes, right, guys?
Oh yeah.
Yes, yes.
If this was an M3 session, Madeline might say it's a what kind of Wednesday, Madeline?
Wakanda Wednesday. Listen, that was the best line ever. I'm stealing it. Look, she said they kept saying bok, bok, bok. Thank you, Elaine. You definitely made my day.
That was awesome. Alrighty, folks. Feel free to drop any resources or questions that you might have. We'll be on this call for another, I believe, 3 minutes. We end at 12:30. So I do want to just say thank you for joining us. If you have any questions or anything about self-care, feel free to email me. My email is lonica.onfa@phila.gov. So happy to be able to share space with you. And remember to be mindful of your breathing, drink your water, and make time for your passions. Really, truly, so great to be able to be online with everyone. I so look forward to be able to see everyone in person when it is safe and healthy to do so. So hopefully one day we'll be able to do this again in person, and I'll be able to truly be myself with everyone. And Naomi did just drop a link for a reminder of the workshops for the next couple of days for our virtual summer kickoff session. So please make sure to click that link to see what other sessions are available throughout this week. Have a good one, everyone. Thank you. If I could, I'd give everyone a hug. So I'm just gonna grab my shoulders, give it a squeeze, and hug myself because I can't hug everyone here.
Air hugs.
Yes. We do have an Yep. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, everyone, for attending our workshop today. Like Monica said, I just put a couple of links for the rest of the workshops that are happening, as well as the ED meeting that's happening in 30 minutes. If you hadn't seen that email from PHMC that came out a couple of days ago, we are going to be sending out surveys for the entire conference on Friday. So we're not going to have a survey for each individual workshop. So just want to let you guys know that.
Alrighty, folks, one last thank you as we sign off. So thank you again for sharing the space with us. Make sure to check out the future sessions for the rest of the summer kickoff. If you need to, the ED meeting is in 30 minutes, so take a little break, take some self-care time, and I'll see you at 1 o'clock during the ED meeting.
Bye, everybody.
Take care. Bye-bye.